The number one question I get is, why do I need virtual reality welding? And especially if you're talking to a good welding instructor who's running a very, very good program, why would he incorporate virtual reality if he's putting out the best students already? And the way I look at that is, if I can give that welding instructor a tool that he does not have now that helps him train better, then he can do what he's doing well, add the new tool that does something that regular teaching doesn't do, and makes him an even better welding instructor. And that's really what we want to talk about, is what does virtual reality do that regular welding doesn't do? And first of all, I think the demo mode is very important. When you give a demonstration in a shop, only one or two people can really see that demo. And also, if the student wants to see another demo, it's inconvenient for the instructor to keep giving constant demonstrations. And so we're going to show you how the virtual reality has a demo mode for every weld. So we're going to do the gas metal arc welding demo mode. So here, he's got the helmet on, and he's actually watching the weld just as a welding instructor's making it. And he can do that demonstration over and over as many times as he needs to be able to learn how to weld. We're going to go back to regular welding, and we're going to show you how it gives instant learning. And that's the way the new learners want to learn. So we're going to come back out of here. We're going to return to regular welding, and I'm going to have them make a regular weld. Give them a new coupon. So we're going to take a look at that weld that he's making. And I'm going to have him now take and long arc it. I'm going to have him on purpose pull it too far away. We can hear the noise. You can see some porosity happening. Go ahead and go back into a regular weld. Okay, you can stop there. Then we take a look at that weld. And so he's getting instant feedback on what was the result of the bad actions he had. But watch what we're going to do. We had the demo mode a little while ago. We're going to do the replay mode. And so we're going to take and score that weld. And we're now going to replay it. This is the weld he just made. And so if he's wondering what he did wrong, remember he long arced it. So we're going to come over and take a look at the contact to work distance. And if you're a welding instructor, you can pause it right there. And so this is a very good teaching aid for the instructor now to tell the student what they're doing wrong, where you got the nozzle too far away from the work, and you can talk about the corrective action and continue playing it. The other thing I like is, here's the third screen we have, which I call the laser screen. And this screen tracks all 5 hand movements that the operator used, which is the work angle, the travel angle, how the distance in and out, whether he hit the joint, and also the speed at which he moved. Contact to work distance, that's the distance the nozzle is away. We saw where he gave him trouble, but it gave him the lowest score of 17 on here. And so he can look at this and realize what he did wrong. He can replay the demo and see what he did wrong. But I think most importantly, he can take corrective action. And what do I mean by that is we can come down under actions and cues, and we have a cue to help all 5 hand movements. So here he has trouble with the contact to work distance. So we're going to click on the contact to work distance cue, and that's going to give him a helpful aid. So what I'm going to do now, and have him put the helmet back on. We're going to give him a new coupon, and this is exactly the view that he sees. And when he gets into position, you notice that goalpost before he welds. On his goalpost, when it's green, that's the right distance in and out. When he's in too close, go ahead and move it too close, it turns red. Pull out too far, it turns red. And that helps guide him on where he's got to be. So go ahead and make a weld again, using that cue. And remember, his lowest score was contact to work distance. Now he's able to analyze his weld instantly, see what he did wrong, take the corrective action, and this teaches him now how to correct that particular action. Okay, you can end the weld there. Now we'll come back over here, we'll hit end pass, and now we can see with the contact to work distance dramatically improved, and he's got a better looking weld. And so that's how the virtual reality helps the young learner. The other thing virtual reality is good for is diagnostics. And what I mean by that is you can take a welder, whether you're recruiting someone for a job or whether the student's frustrated in the lab, the instructor can put them in virtual reality, they can make a weld, and you can very quickly see what the problems the student's having, whether it's the body position, seeing the puddle, whether it's being steady on the arc. So diagnostics is very important to be able to take corrective action to help that person. The other thing virtual reality does, it saves material. We saw in the Iowa State study where the students actually spent 60% less time in the welding lab than they did with traditional welding and still got those good results. If you're in the lab 60% less time, then you're saving on materials, you're saving on gas, fume removal, and all those things. The other thing is collaborative learning is very important. In regular welding, it's very traditional for a person to go back in a welding booth and then they learn by themselves without a lot of interaction with other people. But in virtual reality, we find out that we actually like teaching in pairs, very similar to what we're doing here, where he's demonstrating the welding. I'm watching this screen. I can see what he's doing right and wrong. But rather have the instructor do it, you want another student to do it, because you really learn something when you teach it. And I think instructors know that. And so this person becomes a coach. So they're coaching that individual on what you're doing wrong, how do you fix it, you're doing well, and they start talking about how helping each other. Then you switch, and then the other person becomes the coach. And we actually did another study where we found out that that collaborative learning continued when they went down to the regular welding shop. And so students like that collaborative learning. The other area I find out is it really helps with the frustrated learner. In most classes, you've got a bell curve where you have some people do really, really well. They just go off and they weld and they just do great. Then you've got the masses in the middle. Then you've got a couple individuals who are good individuals, but they're struggling. And when they struggle, they get frustrated. And when they get frustrated, they take a lot of time. And so what we find out is take those individuals, put them on virtual reality, and allow them to go and practice in virtual reality on what they're having trouble with. The nice thing is when I hit end pass, every time that information gets loaded into a jump drive, and so the instructor can come back an hour later, at the end of the day, whatever he wants to do, plug that into the computer and see how the student progressed. And so that way the student's not frustrated, they're working on what they need to know. Once they correct that and they feel comfortable, then you mainstream them back down to the weld class. And we find out that really helps with the frustrated learner. And then the other area where virtual reality helps is helping with what we call the 3 modalities of learning. And people learn different ways. Some learn better by hearing, some learn better by seeing, and some learn better by actually doing it. And it of course, it's called visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning. And so by incorporating virtual reality in the classroom, you're able to incorporate all 3 modalities of learning, which means you're communicating the information to everybody in the class, not just the ones that are good at listening to a lecture and maybe a few handouts. And so for those reasons, virtual reality does things regular welding doesn't do, and properly incorporated with regular welding, we feel that good instructors can become even better.